Alrighty, so we're getting set up for a raw, uncut, behind the scenes of the podcast. You guys kind of get to watch an episode be made a little bit different than we typically do. But just want to give you guys a different perspective of the podcast instead of it being something that is just so produced video-wise. I love for these things to just be kind of behind the scenes, especially as we start kind of a new way that we're recording the podcast. Starting on this episode. So the video is going to be kind of just a cool opportunity for you guys to kind of watch behind the scenes or kind of watch as this thing is made, so you get a different perspective since we are changing again how we record the podcast and things like that. So glad you guys could join me, and just getting some last things set up here. So our questions for this episode are really great, actually. This last round of questions, you guys asked a ton of really cool stuff, which is very exciting. A bunch of new stuff too. So for this episode, we're going to talk about strength exercises to get a higher vertical jump. So looking to build power. We're also going to talk about a little tool that I've introduced to some athletes to get higher tosses. So for our guys. And then lastly, continuing cheer after college. What are some avenues that you can continue your cheer career even when you're done? So, are done with college and you're looking for, like, more like as an adult, what can you do? So, we're going to go ahead and get ready, and we're going to start recording our episode. So, glad you guys could join us, and hope you enjoy. In this episode, we cover 3 amazing topics that you guys brought up. How to get higher tosses for our guys. I'm actually going to teach you guys a really cool trick. You don't want to miss this episode. Strength exercises to get a higher vertical jump, so trying to create more power. And lastly, we talk about what kind of cheer can we do after college, looking into as an adult. So stick around. You're going to love this episode. Welcome back, guys. We're so happy to have you again here with us. Want to, first of all, send some big thank yous to those who have started contributing and become monthly donators to the podcast. Remember, we announced it a couple weeks ago. We touched on it again last week. The focus of our podcast now, aside from answering questions that you guys submit, for the most part, is now creating a scholarship, which I am really excited about. So the CheerDoc Scholarship is going to be built based on the support that we get for the podcast. Now, if you haven't heard, you can go to anchor.fm/cheerleading, and there's a tab there where you can become a sponsor or contributor to the podcast. There's a 99 cents a month option, $3.99 a month option, and $9.99 a month. And with that small donation each month, we're building currently, and it's growing every day, which is really cool. We're building a scholarship that we can start to give away on a regular basis to our cheer athletes heading off to college. So if you'd like to be a part of that, please, we'd love for you to help out. I usually don't ask you guys for much, but this is one thing that I am coming to in hopes that you will help me so that as a community, we can build something special and get back to some of our athletes that are heading off to college. So for this episode, though, we have 3 amazing topics that I want to talk about. You guys are submitting absolutely incredible questions. You know, this round of questions that you guys submitted, it was actually really hard to choose which ones I wanted to cover because, to be honest, a lot of them, they were all just really good. And there was a lot of new stuff, too. So I'm really pumped to talk to you guys about the 3 topics that we have today. So our first question is, how to get a higher toss. Now that's not unique in and of itself, but the response that I have for you guys is unique. It's something new. Now this is a question that I get from guys a lot. How do I get a higher toss? How do I get my girl higher in partner stunts? And for some guys, that's a really, it's a hard challenge, because a lot of times what we'll see is we'll see our athletes cutting their toss off, trying to rush to catch the stunt that they're throwing. And it takes away from the aesthetic, and it really, it reinforces bad habits. So there's a thing that I've actually talked to a few athletes about, and a few of them have made versions of this, and it's actually really cool to see, using basically a dead weight that you can create that mimics a human, right? So basically what we do is, if you don't have a heavy wall ball, or something that you can toss in the air that's, has some weight to it, anywhere from 40 to 60 pounds, you can make one. And you can make one really easily. And, don't let the having to make it throw you off, because it's really not that challenging, and it's actually very, very effective. What you can do is go to your local Goodwill or thrift store, okay? Get an old gym bag or an old duffel bag, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to go to a hardware store also, and you're going to get just regular fill sand, or anywhere that you can get sand that you can fill, okay? And what you're going to do is take some quality plastic bags, like some thick lined bags, and you're going to fill those bags with like 2 pounds of sand or so. And then what you do is you load those bags into the duffel bag, okay? And then from there, you seal it, tape the heck out of it with like duct tape so that it's tight and sealed. And then from there, you can put some grip tape or some athletic tape around it. But basically what you're doing is you're creating a torso, right? Something that's kind of shaped like a human. Now, you can make this thing as heavy as you want, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 60 pounds. But remember, it's dead weight, right? So this is purely building strength for our guys. I've had a few athletes that have sent me pictures of their homemade torso if they didn't have a heavy enough medicine ball like at their gym or fitness facility. And some of them, they're incredible. Some of the engineering that you guys are coming up with, it's really cool. But for, low budget, something that can recreate, holding on to a person, and you can take it around with you and use it at practices. Use it at the end of your workout, right? So once or the end of your practice, once you're done, do it at the end as a conditioning thing. Or make it part of your workout. Like if you're doing your strength and conditioning program, make tosses of your stunt dummy, essentially, make that part of your routine. And by having that dead weight that's not flicking back against you, you can build strength really, really quickly, and your toss will increase dramatically. So again, duffel bag, sand, wrap it up really tight, tape it up really tight, and have a new stunt tool. Alrighty. So as that clip is getting done. So what we got now, guys, for those of you that are watching, the way that we can create these episodes now is basically clip by clip instead of an entire episode all the way through. Clip by clip, and then we just add our clips in one clip at a time with some transitions and things like that. It's really cool. So you're able to break it down piece by piece. We also have sponsorships now with our podcast, so it's an easy way to throw in a sponsor that, for that episode, to put them in kind of the middle. So it makes it super, super seamless as far as recording, so we don't have to go back and do a bunch of editing. We just kind of do clip by clip, and we're good to go. Let's jump into question number 2. So our second question for this week is strength exercises to get a higher vertical jump. Now the reason this is important, think about our girls when they're doing things like partner stunting, when they're a flyer in a basket, and then even with tumbling. Having the ability to create a lot of power off the ground is extremely important, because it helps us to set higher for tumbling, helps us to jump higher for stunting, and it makes our top girl, our flyer, an active member of the basket toss. So I love this question because it just goes to show that our athletes are starting to think outside of just cheer specific stuff, but now we're starting to look at things that would make us better as a cheer athlete that are not specific to cheer, like just having good plyometric strength. So the way I look at vertical jump, okay, so your vertical jump is, it should be done as a max, or like a something that you're working to get a higher max up, like a higher height. Okay, so a lot of times you'll see in workouts people are doing tons and tons and tons of jumping for high volume. Now that's not bad, right? That's not a bad thing to do, but we can't train that way if we're looking to increase our vertical max. Because if it's a vertical max, it's something that we should only be able to do once, twice maybe, but it's the highest we could possibly go. So we have to train for that vertical max, similar to how we would train in maxing out an exercise or lift, like getting a max squat. What's the highest amount of weight that you can squat one time? And so when training for higher vertical maxes, we want to have lower rep ranges, and we want it to be something that is basically kind of standalone exercise, right? Now we can use jumping and plyometrics in conditioning routines and things like that. That's perfectly fine. But if we're trying to increase vertical max, we need to train it as a maximum, something that we're trying to incrementally increase to a maximum effort. So doing things like jump training, like plyometric training, box jumping, where we're jumping high onto boxes or onto stacked mats, very, very beneficial. Doing single leg activities, getting comfortable building power and generating force off of one leg will then contribute both sides together to create a lot of force together. So doing things like single leg hops or jumping switch lunges, very, very good as well. And if you're able to get a weight vest, and you can kind of weigh yourself down and work on jumping drills just with that added weight. A long time ago, I posted a video using a weight belt with some TheraBands attached to it and anchored down to the ground with some dumbbells. And you can literally create, if you want to Google it, it's called Vertimax. It's basically a jump platform with resistance bands, so you have to jump against force. Now, outside of all of that, right, so jumping, yes, very, very important. But the truth of the matter is, doing things like squats, heavy squats with a barbell, don't be scared of a barbell, heavy goblet squats where you're holding the weight in front of you, a big dumbbell or kettlebell, but using your entire lower body to create explosive power is also very, very beneficial. If you can squat more than the next person, there's a higher likelihood that you can jump and create more force than that other person. Okay, so using things like just pure strength can also be very beneficial. There is no one way, that's right to create jumping ability in athletes or higher vertical max. You can really go about it in a bunch of different ways. But if you look at big kind of overarching themes, stronger and faster and coordination are usually going to be what you need. So if you can get stronger, building your leg strength with squats, leg press, even working hamstrings and lower back with deadlifts. If you can do plyometric training like box jumps, or where you're working towards higher level, lower volume jumping, higher height, that's definitely going to be beneficial for you as well. So just incorporate some of these things. Jump training again, strength training for sure. And then test yourself. Every couple of weeks, test to see, is your vertical max higher? And if it is, perfect. If not, then we need to tweak to say, okay, do I have enough speed? Do I have enough power? Or is there something kind of in the middle where we're missing? So try those things out for your high jumps. It should help to increase your vertical max. And then we're going to get into our last one here, which is a really great question. Talks about continuing after kind of how to cheer as an adult, which I think is a really cool question because as the sport continues to evolve, we have a lot of new opportunities for people to cheer after college. So we'll get this last segment rocking and rolling. And our last question is a really, really cool question. And it's, how can I cheer after college? What avenues do I have? You know, is that the person asked was asking about pro cheerleading, all-star, etc. So as our sport continues to evolve, there are a lot of opportunities for our older athletes to continue cheer if they want to. You know, first of all, the ones that come to mind are obviously your international open teams that are, you know, open to any age really. And it just varies by skill level. So that's another way you can, you know, one avenue that's pretty popular. You know, additionally, we also have, you know, Team USA, which, you know, you've got athletes there that are beyond college age. And then you also have professional organizations that do have cheer or pep squads that you can become a part of. Now, one team that I know for sure had, you know, at least when I got done cheering in college and was looking for possibly, you know, higher level than that, the Baltimore Ravens I know had a male presence in their football team. The Orlando Magic had the Orlando Magic stunt team. So, and that's just two. I mean, there's tons of other groups. You know, the only thing is we got to make sure that we set the right mindset, because these aren't, you know, big roles, high-paying jobs, things like that. It's truly something to just kind of do on the side. You know, I think some of the athletes make $50 a game or $100 a game. It's not a lot, but it is something if you want to continue to do cheer, you can in a different setting. Now, additionally, you know, there's nothing stopping you from doing cheer just in a gym, right? So going in and stunting and tumbling and just staying, you know, active with the sport. It gets challenging when you look for competition type stuff other than kind of your all-star realm, because there's really just not a lot of adult cheer leagues, I guess. I mean, I can't think of any adult cheer leagues. But there are some opportunities as far as continuing cheer past college. I know that when I started, kind of like my last hurrah was working as a tumbling director for a small gym in Atlanta, and we had an open team that had adults on it, and, you know, I was kind of hybrid coach / team member, and I was in my mid-20s, and I was, you know, far beyond undergrad. So, you know, there are opportunities for you. They may not be as abundant as it is, you know, through college age. But as the sport continues to evolve, you know, now we're looking at, you know, this, again, as we talk about on the horizon, the Olympic status that's coming for our sport. You know, there may be new opportunities that come up for some of our older athletes or people that want to continue beyond college level cheer. Another really great opportunity, if you do want to make cheer a career beyond what you do in college and all-star, is to work for some of the brands that host camps and competitions and things like that. A lot of the varsities brands, NCAA, UCA, you can be an instructor through the summer. If you work your way up, you can also, you know, if that's a career option that you want to do, you can start to work your way up, you know, kind of up the ranks in there and become, you know, head instructors, you know, possibly state directors, regional directors, and things like that. So there are ways to stay involved with cheerleading beyond college if you want to make it a career. But as far as actively doing cheer, you know, a lot of it is going to come down to, do you have something in your region, you know, an open team at a gym nearby, or do you want to just stay active and get connected with a gym and just find somebody that you can stunt with or tumble with? Unfortunately, not a ton of options, but they are out there. You just kind of have to look for them. Okay. So that's going to do it for this episode. We're going to wrap up here with you guys. We're going to do a short outro just to recap for the episode. I'm glad you guys could join me for this episode. Moving forward, it's likely going to be the format for these lives for the podcast, only because we have this really cool new way to do these clip by clip. It just makes it way more seamless. So hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to go record the last bit of this episode. We'll catch you next week. See ya.